So guess who's got a new album coming out? Again, this new album is called For All the Dogs. In other words, Fat D. And as crazy of a title as that may be, it's nowhere near as crazy as Drake making an album like once a year. Now, Drake isn't the first person to kind of oversaturate the market. NBA Youngboy is a thing. He exists. And I don't doubt that anytime Drake drops an album, I'll have maybe one or two songs that I'll keep with me for a couple of weeks and then ultimately go back to saying that it's nothing compared to the work that he released earlier in his career. And I realize how damaging that may be to an artist's growth, even if the music coming from said artist doesn't appear to showcase said growth. It just begs the question, if you can make that much material at that rate with this level of output, how great can the material be? If you can keep forcing it out at this rate multiple times in under 12 months, how much time did it really take to make these songs? How many changes could you have experienced to have that reflect in the music? It's hard to be excited about and anticipate the releases of music from one of hip-hop's titans when you see him all the time. His shortcomings, his weaknesses, his pitfalls become so much more obvious and apparent the more and more you see this person, as opposed to whatever creation of their image that you could develop for yourself by years and years of absence. And generally the issues with Drake doing this as opposed to somebody like a Young Thug, for instance, is that Young Thug never tries to make these records bigger than what they are. He usually just puts them out as if they're just another average collection of songs. You'll like what you like from it, and you'll move on to the next record when he's ready to drop. Business is business, essentially. I didn't have a problem with that recent Young Thug record that came out as much as I would other people generally, because it didn't appear to be making itself more than what it was. Sure, people had their own preconceived notions about what it would be, how it would ultimately sound given the stakes and the situations going on within YSL, but it never made you believe that it was doing anything outside of what any other Young Thug record was supposed to do, which was give you a fun, entertaining experience. And I would generally feel that way about Drake records, but the way these albums are rolled out and the way he pushes them to kind of be more important than they actually are gives off this need for anticipation from the viewer that I don't have. Take a record like Honestly Nevermind, for example. This is an album that Drake said everyone has to catch up on, that if you don't like it now, you're essentially going to come back to it once you've realized how much of a delicacy it is, basically. Like you're missing out on something that's just so groundbreaking and ahead of its time, when in reality it was just below average house music. And then I go into the overly important rollout of Certified Lover Boy, how long that album was teased. I mean, we got a trailer for it, months and months of merchandise, little innuendos here, interview here. This man was carving a heart into his forehead for months in anticipation, and that's what we ended up getting. 21 tracks of Drake riding shotgun whenever there was a feature on the same song, usually. That included a bunch of content that we've already gotten from Drake off of the last 4 or 5 albums. Just significantly, in my opinion, of course, less inspired than the earlier works. How does he even come up with the time it takes to develop tour plans for something like this? Aren't we still on Her Loss? Which reminds me, this video is sponsored by SeatGeek. Aren't you tired of having nowhere to go for the summer? No artists to see and no friends to see them with? Yeah. Ew, what a loser. What the fuck? Don't worry, I've got good news for you. SeatGeek is offering you a plethora of artists to go see this summer. And yes, that includes Drake, who's still conveniently touring for his album Her Loss. It's as simple as typing his name in on SeatGeek and finding a list of events that are near you. Select your date, choose your tickets, and it's as simple as placing the order. Why are you being so nice all of a sudden? You think that's nice? Wait till you find out that when you use code Sean on your first SeatGeek order, you get $20 off. And all it takes is for you to click the link in the description and download the app. I want to be on Drake's side. I want to be on his team. I want to be OVO Sean. That's got a nice ring to it. And I said in a video not long ago, Drake is best to me when he is microdosed. When I get too much of Drake, it's very easy to get tired of, bro. Give me the best of what you have and the best of your abilities in short doses, and I think that is my favorite Drake, or that's when I appreciate him the most. But when I get him too much, too often, too soon, I'm always going to be in this mode of feeling like, dude, you need to take a break. I can't really ask for anything new from Drake. I mean, I can, obviously. But will he do it? Does it fall on deaf ears? Is the fan base that listens to him going to just tell me to shut up and take what I can get? Even though what I've been getting has been subpar for the last I don't know how many years. I just have to get to a point where I say, you know what? Fuck asking for good music or good material from Drake. I'll just take what he gives me. That's what his fans want me to submit to. You just basically got to keep getting battered into submission until you say, you know what, I don't want or expect anything. Yeah, but you basically got to get forced into submission and say that you don't expect anything from Drake so that his fans are going to be able to go back and tell you, you know what, yeah, if you keep very, very low expectations, if you keep abysmal expectations, then Drake is good. You don't expect any record off of this potentially 20-track album to be entertaining in the slightest and to have any kind of replay value and to not be completely utter cringe. You're going to have at least a couple songs off here that you're going to listen to. And that's the goal. And that's put me in a position where anytime Drake decides to start rolling out a new album, I'm just like eye rolling immediately because I know what I'm about to get, bro. Like, you gonna market it different this time around just for me to get the same material and content that I got off the last album. So it's hard to be excited about something like that. I feel different about artists like a Lil Uzi and even a Travis Scott. Travis Scott dropped Astroworld back in 2018, and there are people that are saying that album aged horribly, people that are saying that album aged beautifully. Personally, I don't think any of that's relevant because I think it adds to the level of anticipation for Utopia when we haven't seen a Travis Scott project in almost 5 years. I couldn't imagine or try to tell you what direction Travis is going to go in when Utopia comes around, but I'm anticipating it because I haven't heard an album from this man since I was 22 years old. And even though I think Travis Scott might be one of the most one-dimensional rappers of all time, musically, I can be pretty confident that I'm probably going to be introduced to a whole new world. Lil Uzi, supposedly dropping the Pink Tape this week. When was the last time we saw Uzi? 2020, 3 years ago. The artists that are forwarding the sound, the artists that are creating something or that have something special aren't dropping and giving you something every year. The artists that are breaking boundaries and chipping away at the current landscape are not the ones that you're constantly seeing. So it is incredibly hard to be excited and anticipate new material and new work from someone like Drake. Not only is it not enough room for the growth that's needed to have a successful alternative to what Drake has been the past few years, it's a breeding ground for repetition when it comes to Drake himself. You listen to a couple of the new records off the new album for a little bit, it grows old because you don't have an opportunity to miss the guy who's dropping the music, and you ultimately end up getting flooded by his new material, and the old material falls into the background again. It's almost counterproductive because you want them to strike when the iron is hot so that they don't lose steam, but they ultimately end up taking away steam from their previous works when they drop so soon. Give people a chance to miss you. It hasn't even been a year since the last drop. Her Loss came out, what, end of October, around November, something like that? I just feel like it's a little too soon, you know? But let me know how you feel about it in the comment section. Am I wrong? Are you excited about it? Do you love everything that Drake puts out? I'll see y'all real soon.